Hello everyone and welcome back to the Process Movie Reviews, the show where I review stuff that's mostly pretty good and maybe one of the best movies of all time, or a movie that just absolutely sucks and is probably one of the worst movies of all time and should never be seen. Now, I know that if you guys check out the discussion page of the channel, which for some reason you guys can't check out on mobile, so get um get like a computer or something, maybe even if you have like a streaming service that streams YouTube, maybe it might be on there. But um, I made an update saying that I'm switching the schedule around a bit. So the Zootopia review is still up. I didn't take it down or anything. Um, but the schedule for the next two reviews has been changed so this review is actually was supposed to go up next week, and the next week was supposed to go up today. But I just switched these two around. Um, just for because I just want to get a little bit more prepared to try and do what's now officially next week's review. So I need a little bit more time on that. So I thought might as well still get a review out this week. And today I thought since next week's review has to do with music, why not kind of make this one a music film as well. Not this. It's not really the same as the one I will be discussing next week. This one is really a hodgepodge, and as you guys can tell by the title and the thumbnail, today I will be discussing Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, released in 1988. Now, my history with this film is that I've heard about this film for a while. Uh, but I can never really get away to watch it because the DVDs for this thing were so hard to come by, and whenever I did find them, they were super expensive. So I thought there was just no way I was going to ever um, ever get to watch this film. But then I saw someone on eBay was selling the Blu-ray of Moonwalker, so I thought might as well bite the bullet. Because it did say it was a UK release, and obviously I live in the US, so if that was the case, I could probably most likely never really watch Moonwalker. But I decided to bite the bullet, and now I've I've got it, and I've had this actually for a few years now, um, and I never really knew if it was actually going to work because again, like I said, this is a UK Blu-ray. You can obviously tell by the rating right there is different from ours. Um, I mean, we both like both the UK and the US have a PG rating and stuff like that. But over there, they have 12. Well, now it's 12A, but it used to be 12, and then they had a 15 rating, which is basically what the PG-13 rating is to us. Um, and then they obviously have an 18 rating, which is their version of the R rating. But sidetrack. Um, but I just never really thought that this would work because, again, like I said, it's a UK Blu-ray, and usually UK discs, unless they're region free, do not work on American players because these are region 2, while US and Canada Blu-rays are region 1. So I didn't know if it was going to initially work. Um, but then I found out that when I was doing research about the Blu-ray that it was region free. So that means I could tell you I could play it on a US player. So I didn't know, and again I still was a little bit hesitant. And then obviously I had to watch it for the review, and this was my first time seeing the film in its entirety. So I thought, screw it, I'll just try and play the Blu-ray as it is, and it actually works. So if you guys do plan on trying to get Moonwalker, um, I say go for the UK Blu-ray because, like I said, it's region free, so really anyone can play it. and it's probably gonna be the um, it's probably gonna be the best version that you're gonna get as of now. Because for some reason there still isn't a U.S. release of this film on Blu-ray. Um, but and obviously there's one from the UK. I think there's one in Germany and maybe Japan. But I don't know if those are also region free. So either uh save your money and buy this Blu-ray. Um, or if you really want to, you can try and hunt down one of the early U.S. DVD releases, and hope to God that you don't pay a goddamn fortune for it. But I'm gonna discuss more about this Blu-ray later on in the video because there is actually, um, at least to me, I don't know if this is for anyone else, but there's a slight problem with this film, which again I'll get to later. But let's go over some of the details. So this was released. This was made with a budget of $22 million. This was released in October 29th of 1988. Um, and on my notes here, I put NA for box office because um, this is one of those films that has a weird that had a weird theatrical release. So it premiered in theaters all around the world, like the UK premiered in theaters, Japan premiered in theaters, basically everywhere. Uh, I think pretty much everywhere it was premiered. But then, Michael wanted to bring this film to America, obviously, because it's probably has the biggest demographic. Around Christmas of 1989. But unfortunately, he couldn't. Some legal reasons. I can't. I don't exactly remember what the whole deal is about that. But that basically caused him to. Um, well, actually, this was my fun fact, so might as well get this over with right now. That Michael wanted the film to be released in America around Christmas time, but budget problems forced him to make it straight to video. So unfortunately, in like I said, in the U.S., this was the straight to video release in Christmas of 1989, while everyone else got a theatrical release. That's why uh, domestically this made no money because it was never released in theaters. But worldwide, it made about 67 million. So it technically was a success. Worldwide, it made its budget back, and there's some. This is the fact of that it probably would have made a lot more money if it was released in theaters in America. Uh, but I think in America alone for video sales, I think it was over like 80 million or maybe even more. So this was still a selling film. It's just not in the right. It just wasn't handled very properly. Um, Now, if you guys have heard of Moonwalker before, you guys know that this film is just a whole bunch of random crap splurged onto one film. Um, cause really, no one has real set idea about what the hell this movie is. Cause and it initially starts with a live performance of Man in the Mirror, and then it goes through this whole montage of um just like Michael's history up till that point, which was like I said around 1988. So by this point he had the Thriller album, which I believe is the or one of the most bankable albums that was ever made. But yeah, if you guys haven't heard of Michael Jackson, one, what is wrong with you? Two, he's made some of the most popular albums. Like I said, Thriller, and Bad, which I actually do have. This isn't an original album. This is a 2014 re-release. But this is probably, to be completely honest, this is probably my favorite album that he ever did. Um, and it's like so many of these tracks are like great. Again, most of these are so recognizable. Like if you say Michael Jackson, like so they can name off like instantly like Bad, the way you make me feel, Speed Demon, Another Part of Me, Man in the Mirror, and Smooth Criminal, and Leave Me Alone. So almost all of these tracks you can um you can just spurt off because like this is one of the most popular albums ever. Um, but yeah, Michael Jackson was big around like especially the '80s because like I said, Thriller in '82, Bad in '87, um, and then even back like even in the '70s and into the '90s, he's still very popular, probably just not as much as in the 1980s. Um, but getting back to the film itself, um, the first like I would say about the first like 10 to 20 minutes of the film is just an it's just a montage of just like the most popular Michael Jackson songs that you had like I said the film opens with a live concert version of Man in the Mirror, and then it goes to I know that Beat It, Thriller, Billie Jean, and a few other songs are in this montage, and it's just like and even the ABC song from the Jackson 5 makes an appearance with I gotta admit some very impressive claymation from I believe the guys who did the California Raisins. Actually, let me look at this real quick. Um, yeah, I think it was the same people who did the California Raisins stuff. So the stop motion in this film is great. Um, nothing in this film really has a plot. They say except for two segments. The Speed Demon segment and the Smooth Criminal section. I have the Smooth Criminal section written down in my notes. But basically, the Speed Demon song after the kid version of the Bad, like the Bad music video, which is an okay, so I'm reading on the back of the Blu-ray case here, and it's basically it goes from Man in the Mirror, and it's just like a Michael Jackson retrospective, and then after that is the Bad music video, but it starts like the when like all like the guys come in, it's the original music video, and yet in the one shot that it's like the camera's panning up on the costume, it's um it's a kid, and it's like and initially you're like what um and it's like what is going on here, and then the the song like the music video plays out, and this is like one of the only scenes in the film that actually made me probably the only scene in the film that actually made me cringe because it's like not the music video itself, but there's a part in this in the music video where it's like the kid version of Michael he smacked his nuts, and then you just see him like falter around like oh Jesus, and it's like is that really necessary? Like, do we really need to see that? Apparently, they thought so, so they kept in like a 10-second shot of him just like on the ground, like just holding his nuts, and it's just like Jesus, why? Um, and then Michael walks through a cloud of smoke with like his colleagues, and then he turns into older Michael Jackson, like regular Michael Jackson. And then there's a tour bus going through the studio because it's apparently a Michael Jackson studio. Um, and he goes through this cloud of dust, and there's a tour guide going through the studio. Um, and then the stop motion characters just start chasing Michael because they recognize him. And it's like, oh my god, dude, it's Michael Jackson! I need his autograph. So they start chasing him, and it's like a 10-minute sequence of just them chasing around Michael around the studio. And it's like it first starts off as like a paparazzi. I mean, because granted, I don't know if that was at the time in bad taste, but now it just seems like kind of funny. It's like, oh my, it's like so relatable now, where it's like pop stars are just like trying to run away from the press. So it's like just run and see you see Michael just running around this whole area, and the one part of the chasing that I found really funny was because like I said they're in a studio set, or like they're in like they're like in a studio area, so there's gonna be stuff going down, and there's this Wild West film being played or being filmed, and how they did the stop motion thing is that they cut initially the chase, they cut between real life actors with these gigantic heads, and then they would cut back to actual stop motion, and it's just like what, like that. It's just very jarring. But anyway, they're filming this Wild West scene, and it's like people actually in. It's like initially it's like it's actually people there. Like it's like and you just see these gigantic heads, and then Michael just runs into it, and then the director's like cut, 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 and Michael Jackson's like trying to apologize. He jumps down, and there's like there's one guy at like one end, because it's like a Mexican standoff kind of thing where it's like draw. One guy has like an all black cowboy suit, and the other one has like a light blue. The director comes out and stands next to the guy in the light blue suit, and he starts going off. And all of a sudden, his head turns into like a lizard head, and you can see the guy like the cowboy next to him. He's like listening. He looks over. He sees that the guy, the director in the lizard head. He looks back, and he has his eyes open. He's like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like watch try and find a clip on YouTube or like of the film, and just get to that clip, and you just see the guy that like he looks at him, and he's like okay, and he's like, and like he just stares at him like what the fuck is going on with my director, and then he's like Michael's like trying to apologize like I'm really sorry, and the guy goes the other cowboy goes like you're trying to ruin my career, and some like weird accent, and then they start chasing him on horseback, and then they find like a paparazzi, and they find the paparazzi group again, and then Michael hides in a wardrobe area, and then he changes into a bunny costume, which I don't know. Okay. It's not on here. That's unfortunate, but I almost dropped it. Uh, he changes. He goes into the wardrobe room, and he turns into this bunny rabbit. Like he has like the head of like a bunny, like a rabbit kind of character, and it has like a leather jacket, and like just like he has like gloves on, and he has like a tail and everything. So, um, he he gets out of there, and it's like oh it's some stupid rabbit, and they let him go because they're still trying to look for him, and um he gets on a bike, and he's like he like whistles over to him, and I'm like huh, and then like he's doing like kind of like Michael Jackson moves, like he does like the crotch thrust and stuff like that, and he gets on the bike, and everyone's like could that be Michael, and then they just see him just like right away, and then Michael dressed as the rabbit, he rides on this bike outside the studio, gets onto the road, he magically transforms it um into a motorcycle, because again movie logic real life logic is just thrown out the goddamn window, and then that's when the Speed Demon music starts kicking in, and I gotta admit though this sequence is actually pretty funny because like the bunny dressed Michael's dressed as the bunny or rabbit or whatever you want to call it, Um, he does like several different impressions. Like I think he does. He first does Sylvester Stallone as like a construction worker, and then he does Tina Turner, and then he does Pee Wee Herman. And it's like it's three like what the hell of just straight up just three hits in a row of just what the hell just happened. And it's just slap in the face, just kind of like humor where it's like it's funny, but it's also like, did that seriously just happen? Yep, it did. Okay, just keep on going. Um, and then once Michael escapes them, or escapes all the paparazzi, he drives out to a desert. He takes off the costume. He goes to get on the motorcycle and drive away, and the costume comes alive. Like all logic has just been thrown out of the goddamn window, just like that, and it's amazing. And then they just start having like a dance off, and it's so funny, and it's like I love that sequence just for how weird it is. And then after the Speed Demon sequence, we have the "Leave Me Alone" music video, which I think, in terms of Michael Jackson's songs, is one of my favorites. Music videos, it's weird. Like, if you guys thought that the Speed Demon music video was weird, this one is even weirder. I will have I don't know about the Speed Demon scene in this film has been turned into a music video, but I know that the "Leave Me Alone" music video is on YouTube, along with another song which I'll get to later, which is my favorite song of all time. But again, I'll get to that later. You guys probably, if you've seen the film, you probably already know what it is, but I won't spoil it. But anyway, um, the "Leave Me Alone" music video is so goddamn weird. It's basically Michael is just he's riding around in an amusement park with on a rocket that's like you could manually pilot, and it's just like, oh Jesus, you need to watch again. I'll have a description of at least the "Leave Me Alone" music video and another music video which I'll get to later. Um, I don't know about Speed Demon. I don't know if the section in the film got turned into a music video, and if it did, I'll put that link in as well. But Jesus, you need to see the music video for himself. It's weird. Um, and then this final section, because I have written down in my notes that I'm pretty sure more, I mean Michael Jackson was the one behind it, but in terms of actual directors, we have Jerry Kramer, which I believe did the Speed Demon sequence, and then Colin Chilvers. Now, Colin Chilvers, if you are film buffs like me, you guys may remember him. He worked on the original three Christopher Reeve Superman movies, along with David Newman, which was I think the screenwriter for this the last section I'm going to be talking about. Um, um, and he directed and then after I think either during during the production of this film or after it, he worked on either he worked on the Superboy series from the 80s. So yeah, but basically he directed this final section of the film, which is really the main section of the film, cuz all that previous stuff I talked about, that takes about the first half of the film. The second half is the smooth criminal section, which, if you guys are fans of the film, you guys obviously know what I'm going to be talking about. But this is where I'm going to be talking about the cast of the film, because really, throughout this whole section before, it's really the only real person in it for basically the whole film is Michael Jackson. But here, we have, but basically the smooth criminal segment, it begins with, three homeless kids, Sean, Katie, and Zeke. Uh, Katie played by Kelly Parker. Sean played by Sean Lennon, which is if I got I'm gonna have to look it up, but he is actually I'll be back. Okay, so I just looked it up, and Sean Lennon is actually the son of John Lennon, who I believe was a famous '80s actor. And then we have Brandon Quinton Adams as Zeke. Um, and they are sneaking on top of a roof, and they see over the rooftop that they see Michael Jackson played, who obviously plays himself. Um, and he's like leaving his apartment, and he sees a shooting star, which we'll see three times throughout this section. The first time is obviously right here when he leaves his apartment, and as soon as he sees that and looks back down, his place just gets shot up by like guys in suits, and it's um like his like front door, basically the whole front section of his apartment gets blazed up. And it's at this point in the film uh um that we flash back to earlier with Michael playing with the three kids, like playing like soccer and like soccer and then football, and then the dog, I think it was called uh Snipper or something like that, Snipper or whatever. Their dog gets the soccer ball and he starts running into the woods. So Michael and Katie try and looking for him, and then as they're trying to look for him in the forest, they find a um until they find a underground base behind a locked door. Now, in this underground base lies is the evil lair of Mr. Big, played by Joe Pesci. Um, his nickname is Mr. Big, and I think that's what he's called in the end credits. But in the film, he uh, he starts saying this whole speech about how he, because his whole plot in the film is just trying to get kids addicted to drugs, because this was the late '80s, so I don't really know because I'm not really an expert. I mean, really, the '80s overall, cocaine was a big thing back then. But yeah, basically, this guy wants to get um just wants to get kids addicted to drugs. Um um and Michael and Katie like obviously overhear this, and there's a spider or a tarantula, sorry, that is on like one of the steps, and Katie looks over and she screams, and then Mr. Big looks up and he sees him and he's like, shoot him. Well, obviously not like that, but he's if I tried to imitate his voice, I would probably lose my voice because he is just screaming. He sounds like Yosemite Sam. Like he's like that crazy. Um, um, but yeah. We cut back to the present day. And the henchmen are still shooting at the place, and he's like, they obviously they stop, and then he's like, oh, nice shooting, and then he looks at the steps and he sees Michael's coat, on the ground, and he's like, where'd he go? And he looks over and he sees him running, and he's like, get him, and like all the henchmen start going after him, and it's about a 10-minute sequence of Michael just trying to run away from the um henchmen, uh, and then he actually he escapes, but then gets cornered in a dead end. So he has nowhere to go, and then he sees the shooting star a second time, and then for some goddamn reason he's able to turn it into a goddamn car. Like, what? just happened. But whatever, just go on. Um, but yeah, he turns into a car. He speeds off. Uh, is able to get away, and then Michael, at some point before the events of this segment, he told the kids to if he ever got in trouble and he needs to rendezvous with them, meet them at Club 30s, which um uh when you first say it, it's just a um it's just a rundown nightclub that no one really goes to anymore. Uh, at least at the time of the kids going into it, because they go into it and it's just it looks like it hasn't been touched for over 50 years. But then stuff starts happening. Like Sean tries to play with the pull cue. He tries to hit the ball, and before he hits it, the ball just moves, and that freaks him out. And then Katie is trying to like she's playing like a couple keys on the piano, and then she goes to touch another one, and then just a gust of wind just hits it, and I'm like, yeah, maybe we should get out of here. Maybe this place is goddamn haunted. And then they leave, and then I think it was Zeke who hears like a car coming up, and he's like, okay, no, we gotta hide because this might be like the cops or something. So they hide. Katie looks over, and then um she sees like the car, and then she sees it transform into Michael, and then Michael walks to the front entrance of the door. He opens it, and all of a sudden, this blast of wind just starts coming out. And it's like, and he's in this actual like really nice white suit, with like a white fedora with a black stripe, and then like a blue undershirt with a white tie. It's bomb as hell. And then he walks in, and then all of a sudden, the nightclub's just alive. Like there's people in it and crap like that, and it's like, well, what? Um, and then what happens is the the best part about this fucking movie is the smooth criminal music video is absolutely amazing. This is, and it really just comes down to opinion. This is either one of the best music videos ever made or the best music video ever made, because this is absolutely amazing. And again, like I said, I will have a link down in the description below to the music video. Obviously, it's not going to be in HD, like I saw, but basically, what the link will is basically the exact same video, as in the film. But that sequence goes by, and then he finds Sean and Zeke, and during the music sequence, you see Katie like be taken away by like assailant in a black with a black glove, so you know it's Mr. Big. Um, but yeah, they tell him like he took her, and they try to go up and grab her teddy bear, which she had throughout the course of the section. Uh, and they try to pick it up, and it's just covered in tarantulas. So that's like the big indicator. Like, if you didn't know before, like that was Mr. Big, now it's confirmed. It's Mr. Big. Um, and he goes into there, along with Sean and Zeke, and they step on something and it kind of cracks, and they pick it up. It's like, and I think it's either Sean. I think it's Sean, but it's one of the two boys. That goes, it's Peanuts, and then Michael like turns around and he's like, oh crap, and he gets locked out. From the other two. The other two go up to like a mountaintop, not like an actual mountaintop, but like a cliff edge. Um, while Michael is surrounded by all the guards. Now this is where I was talking about the whole. I had to mention something about this Blu-ray release, and this is what I'm talking about. Here you find out, like, if you weren't paying attention in like the flashback scene, this is like really where, at least in the I believe in the original theatrical versions and in the DVD releases, uh, when Mr. Big comes out with Katie, he tells Michael that like he wants like he just he, I think the line that he says is I just want everyone to get high, and he has like a needle in his hand and he grabs like the yanks the thing out, and don't I mean again I don't really want to promote this sort of thing, but it's like I don't really know like what drug like he's squirting out of the needle, and he's about to inject her with Katie with it, and then I just no because before that he comes down in the elevator and he smacks her, and like he keeps on smacking her, and you see like he kind of smacks her a couple times in a silhouette, and then he comes down the stairs like I just want everyone to get high. That section or that scene, when you try and watch the Blu-ray version, that scene is cut out. When I was looking this up on Wikipedia, it said that it didn't go into the whole like Mr. Big like pointing out the needle and saying like I want everyone to get high. But it does say that the shot of Mr. Big like hitting Katie in the elevator um was censored from this Blu-ray release, which um it sucks that it happened, but if it I just think that like if it isn't for if you want to censor something and yeah actually have a good reason for it, then by all means go ahead and do it. But if the reason is stupid, then just keep it as it is. And I don't really see the point of them censoring it for this Blu-ray release. I mean, unless it has to do with like child abuse or like child like violence in film, that I can understand. But from my research, I haven't found anything as to why they changed it. So if you don't have a reason for changing it, don't change it at all. Just keep it preserved. So that's why I honestly kind of want to track down a original DVD version without having to pay crap tons of money for it. Uh, because even though this is in HD and this is probably at this point at least this is the best version of the film that you can get. Um, I still want to see the film in its original form. Uh, so I do plan on trying to hunt down the original DVD version at some point. But besides that, um, Michael gets like the crap beaten out of him, and then the final time you see the shooting star is right here, and like as he's telling the kid like shut up. You see like the shooting star go right over Joe Pesci's head, and then all of a sudden the fucking light just it just goes out, and you're like what the hell. And then um you just see this like cloud just like coming over the sky, and you're like, what is going on? And Mr. Bay like walks over the like he gets away from Katie, and he's like, what the hell is going on? And you see Michael like because he was on the ground like on like his shoulder. Now he's like on his knees like with his face covered. He looks up, and all of a sudden his eyes just whoosh, and like he starts turning into a goddamn robot. And like that's honestly the point of the film where I was like, I'm out, I'm gone. And I had to take a few minutes because I was like, did I just see Michael Jackson start turning into a robot? All right then. And I just had to take a minute, and then I came back, and I gotta admit though, the effect is amazing. I think it took almost 6 months to complete all the shots with the robot, and it literally got to the point where like you couldn't even like they couldn't even get like at at most they can only complete like 1 or 2 shots a day with the giant prop. And there's actually a video out on YouTube that was from a few years ago that someone at an exhibition saw they had on display uh the actual head from the initial transformation when like his face kind of like splits apart and then kind of comes back together. They had the original head of that scene. I'm like, that's actually kind of cool that they actually are preserving this, which I think it's a great thing that they actually are preserving this as much as possible. Um, but like I said, I think the transformation sequence is amazing. Um, and then they first start shooting machine guns at Michael or at the robot. Basically at Michael, and then he just popped up these like deflector shields, and they're just bouncing off of him. And then they bring out um, these like laser cannons, and they start shooting him, and it's like, oh shoot, like they actually start the deflectors start breaking down, and then the screech that he makes is like, do not turn this like, do not turn the film up to like a super high volume because that will actually hurt your ears. But basically, the robot screams this horrible scream, and like they like the faces start exploding like all these henchmen, and then like he starts like shooting missiles at them, and then he has like this like laser cannon like in his chest, and he starts shooting at them, and then he turns into a goddamn spaceship, and then it's like, okay, I thought that him turning into a car was when reality just flew out of the goddamn building. Nope, this is it. This is when it just went. Nope, I'm done. Nope, I can't. I can't take this anymore. See ya. And it was gone. So, yeah. Oh, that was a. I gotta admit though, it was pretty funny. Just all of a sudden he just starts turning into a spaceship, but then it was like again, it's like reality just, it's just gone. So, um, that happened, and that happens, and then uh, everyone's like, "Whoa, that's so cool!" And then all of a sudden, Mr. Big just comes out with this giant, like mega cannon. That's like a laser cannon, and he charges like the batteries up, and he fires it at Michael, and it damages him. Like, you see like in the shot like when he's falling down, you actually see like a little like a red cut into like the hull, and it's like, oh crap, like he might be down for the count. And then he targets onto the kids, and then Michael comes back and um he fires. Huh. Sorry that I'm yawning kind of a lot. It's around, I think like 6. Oh, it's 7:30. For me right now. So yeah, but um, but yeah, uh, Michael shoots like his lasers at him, and it blows up his cannon. Now, something I actually never saw before until I actually watched it in person on Blu-ray is that right before like the lasers actually start coming out of like the front section of the ship, of Michael's ship, you actually see like a little outline of his face like going towards it, and then it kind of all converges into like a rectangle, and then it shoots out. I was like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. Um, so I actually like that little. I don't know if that was in the original version of the film or that's actually been added to this Blu-ray release. I don't think it was added to this release. Um, but again, I may be wrong about that. And then and yeah, and then he leaves, and then everyone starts like crying. It's like, oh, I really miss Michael. And then all of a sudden, a gust of wind pops up, and a gust of wind comes around, and then all of a sudden he's back. Like, like, why did you have to leave in the first place? And even then, you never gave a freaking explanation for why you had to leave. It's just, ugh. It's so dumb. But yeah. And that's really the whole film. And then at the end, they go back to the club, and then they play one final song, which I think, oh Jesus, it's a song that I never heard before. In terms of actual Michael Jackson songs, but I think it's either "Come Together" or "The Moon Is Walking." I think it's one of those two. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah. And then like I said, that's where the movie ends. So we're gonna be talking about the music, and then I already mentioned my fun fact, and then we're gonna get on to my final thoughts. So yeah. So there's two types of music in this film. There's obviously like the Michael Jackson songs, like I said, Smooth Criminal, Leave Me Alone, Speed Demon, that sort of stuff. But then for the Smooth Criminal segment, there is actually composed music, and that was done by Bruce Broden. If you guys are a fan of the channel, you guys remember him from my Tombstone review. He also did the music for that. Now, the music for this film, I think, kind of like last week with the Zootopia review. I think that this is a film that the music with the film sounds great, but in by itself, I don't think it works as well. Um, but again, it may just come down to preference. So, I don't think that there might be some isolated tracks on YouTube, but as of now, there is no official soundtrack. Bruce Broden's Bruce Broden's music from the Smooth Criminal segment officially released. There might be a bootleg or two out there, but in terms of official releases, there is, like I said, as of now, nothing. Um, so yeah, that really ends it, except for my rating. Um, so final thoughts of Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. Um, I think overall this is a good film, but can you really call it a film when there's really no movie really within it except for the Smooth Criminal segment, which even then it's only like a 45-minute segment. So really that only really counts as like a short film. Um, but um, but I think this, if you are genuinely curious, I think that to best describe this film, this is a time capsule of Michael Jackson from the 80s. Especially the retrospective at the beginning. If you just don't have time to like look up several different music videos and you kind of just all want it within like a 10-minute to 20-minute radius, just put it on and then yeah. But if you actually want to have a good time, I say just go for it. I don't think this Blu-ray is terribly expensive, and you could probably easily find it. And again, like I said, this is region free, so you can't play this like on a U.S. player if you live in America or in Canada. Uh, so until whenever an official U.S. release or a U.S. Blu-ray release at least uh, comes out, this is the best option that we have in terms of watching this film in high definition. Um, so I honestly really hope that an American Blu-ray does come out of this film, and it is like the original cut of the film instead of. I mean, because granted, this version is basically the whole film. It's just censored here and there, like I that one censor scene that I mentioned earlier. But besides, I just really wish that if it is if it is a good reason, then all right. But if you just want to censor it just because of it, at least just give us the original version, so we at least have the option. And even then, if we don't, I don't really. It isn't like that big of a deal on like the Star Wars films where it's like everyone's been asking to get the original releases officially from like Disney in high definition or maybe even in 4K, and no one has still ever done it. Like Disney hasn't even done it. Lucasfilm never did it, so the fans had to come in and do that. But again, for this film, I think an uncut version would be fine. But if that's never gonna happen, I'm fine with watching this version. So, um, yeah, so really, I'm gonna give this film a C. I think that uh, if you just want to put this on in the background, that's fine. Um, but ex- expect it to be a weird film. Next week, like I said earlier, was going to be the film that I was going to discuss this week, and then this film I was going to discuss next week. But I just need a little bit more time to prepare for next week's review. So I just obviously switched them around. So next week I will be discussing Bohemian Rhapsody. So hope you guys enjoyed. Click over here for on my beautiful face to go and check out the channel, and obviously make sure to click down there for that subscribe and manage to hit that bell icon to get notified when future videos are coming out. Click over here for my previous two reviews. So anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys in the next one. Live long and prosper. Out.